Discovered my 38 male, wife 38 female of 17 years has been texting another man for 1.5 years and hiding it from me. This is a throwaway account for reasons which will become obvious. I apologize in advance for the wall of texts, but there's a lot here. To give you the backstory, my wife and I have been married for 17 years and have 2 children, 16 male and 10 female. We were high school sweethearts who got married just after college. Our marriage has been mostly solid with no major issues. No splits, no abuse, no cheating, no dead bedroom, etc. I've never had much reason to doubt my wife in the past, and I don't snoop on her phone, /email, etc. I have a high-stress job that requires me to work a lot. I'll admit that I've started reading our relationships as a relatively short while ago, and to be honest, I felt like it was making me a little paranoid about infidelity. In addition, my wife has been acting a little strange lately. Example, being more guarded of her phone, coming to bed hours after I go to bed, etc. So yesterday, I needed to submit my phone bill to my employer for expense purposes. We have a bring your own device and my employer reimburses us for a portion of our mobile phone bill as long as we submit the bill. I printed the bill and I noticed it was longer than usual, 42 pages. With our provider, the bills list all of the calls and texts you make during the month. So I start flipping through the bill and get to my wife's phone and notice one number repeatedly coming up a lot. Like, there's literally an entire page of uninterrupted text, probably 100 plus, just to slash from this number. There are multiple entries where she was texting this person until 1 or 2 in the morning, and one day where she texted continuously from 5 to 7. I usually get home around 7 and then again from 9 to 11:30. Not only is the number not one I recognize, but it's not from our area code. It's from an area code in the same metro area as roughly 45 minutes away. So I punch the number into Facebook and some guy's name comes up, again, that I don't recognize and my wife has never mentioned to me. I call it from my work number and voicemail states the same name. So I confront my wife about it. She confesses to having carried on a non-romantic relationship with this person for a year and a half. She said she was lonely and went online on a website for people looking for non-romantic relationships. To be clear, she's had male friends in the past and we currently have a couple of friends that are M, F, and I've never objected to her talking to them. But she consciously hid this from me for a year and a half and during the period repeatedly lied to me when I would ask her who she was texting until 1 a.m. She insists nothing physical happened and that they've never even met in person, and I'm inclined to believe her. She justified it herself by saying that it never crossed the line. At the same time, I'm feeling very emotionally cheated on. She took a lot of time that she wasn't investing our relationship and put into a relationship with another man that she hid from me. I am at something of a loss here. I make enough money, top 1%, that we don't have to worry about paying the mortgage if we split, and I'm not worried about finding another partner if that happened. I stay in pretty good shape. I love our kids as well and would really miss seeing them every night. That being said, I really feel like my trust was violated and don't know how I can recommit to spending my life with someone who would lie to me like that for a year and a half. Am I making too much of this? Update. First, I'll start by apologizing again for the wall of texts. There's a lot here and it may not be interesting to some, but it's cathartic to me. Second, before I start, I want to sincerely thank all those who commented on my post, but especially those who mentioned the iPhone recovery software. I owe you a huge debt. You're why you read it is great. Okay, we left off Monday night with her admitting to an emotional affair with another man for 1.5 years, but saying that was it. After I posted on Reddit and people mentioned the iPhone recovery software, I phoned to tell her not to use her phone and that I was going to recover the information later that night. She immediately admitted to sexting the other guy. I got home and tried to run the software. For whatever reason, probably human error, it didn't work well. It only pulled up a portion of 350 texts and none of them seemed relevant. I decided not to pay $70 for the whole install and dropped the idea. I went out with a friend who had been the victim of adultery for drinks at 7 to discuss, and he thought I should give my wife a second chance as long as she had never met the other guy. I got home around 9:30. She was sitting with her best friend in the sunroom talking. I said an awkward hi to the best friend, who I am sure knew, and went up to my office. My wife came up in 10 minutes later, when her friend had left, and immediately started yelling at me, telling me that I basically needed to get over it, and that she wasn't going to feel like she had today for 6 months. I kind of flipped out. Nothing that I had known for 30 hours, and was only receiving trickle truths during that period. After we finished yelling at each other, she left. She went into my daughter's bedroom to comfort her. I assumed she left to text the other guy, and I finished up my work and went to bed in the guest room. I woke up about 1:30. I went into the master's bedroom and grabbed her phone. I scrolled through the texts and emails, but there was almost nothing there, as anything older than a day or so had been deleted. I felt horrible. I felt like I needed to be able to trust her, but continued to firmly believe she was lying to me and that there were things she wasn't telling me. I put the phone back in her room and then went back into the office. I googled iPhone recovery software and saw a couple of results that looked interesting. I went back into the room and grabbed her phone again. This time, she woke up and followed me into the office. I paid more attention to the software this time. I turned the phone into airplane mode. I disabled iTunes, AutoSync, I closed all the programs, etc. I ran the free test and it came back with 3,500 results, the sixth of which was from the other guy. I paid the $50 for the software and ran the full program. It took about 10 minutes, during which she continually tried to convince me not to look at it. Once I had the results, I started going through the text. The good news was that there was nothing that suggested she and the other guy met. I had been in Europe from Monday through Thursday of last week, and there were lots of recent texts. A lot of them were sexual, but none suggested they were meeting. Which gets to the bad news. I asked when they started sexting. She said October. I looked through the text. They're not really organized by name, just file size. So you kind of have to look through all of them, and found one from July. It was clearly from someone else anyway. The style was very different, and was very sexually forward. I can't wait to see you naked. I'll wear anything you want, etc. There was also discussion of meeting up. So she trickled truth meeting up with 2 other guys from Craigslist. She said she fooled around with one of them, but that they met at a park, so they didn't have sex. At that point, I honestly felt like a huge weight had been taken off my shoulders. All of the doubt that I could trust her again became irrelevant, and I know I could move on with a clean conscience. Later that night, she trickled truth sleeping with the other Craigslist guy one time. Last night, she admitted to sleeping with another guy in Alaska when she went there alone on vacation a year and a half ago. I do believe her that she didn't meet the guy she was texting continuously given the text I read. Although given the way the texts were progressing, I firmly believe it would have happened eventually, and that nothing seemed to happen when I was out of town for a week, but it doesn't really matter now. You can guess the postscript. She's been crying her eyes out and begging me to give her another chance. I plan on sticking together through the holidays for the sake of the kids, but we'll be moving out come January.